In this video, I'm going to show you how to properly set up an aquarium sump. As you can see behind me, I have my 90-gallon aquarium. So let's get the front panel of this stand removed, and then we'll move on to dialing in the sump. All right, so here is a closer look of the entire aquarium setup, and I want to go over a few parts of this aquarium. So firstly, we have two pipes sticking up in the top aquarium here. One is the return pipe, which is the one on the right and is a slightly skinnier pipe. And we have a recirculating pump that is going to be pumping water from the sump into the main aquarium through that pipe. The other standing pipe is the overflow pipe, and as the name would suggest, as the water pumps into this aquarium, it's eventually going to overflow through this pipe and it's going to trickle down into the first chamber of our sump here. Now, depending on what kind of sump you have, you may have different chambers in your sump. After all, running a sump is highly customizable and you can change things up to best suit the needs of your aquarium. And I have a number of chambers and baffles that have been siliconed in using scrap pieces of glass in order to optimize some of the filtration going on in our sump. And you can actually get really creative on what kind of filtration you want to have in this aquarium. So if you're running an aquarium that has a lot of mechanical filtration needs, you can have a lot more filter floss and chambers dedicated to polishing any kind of floating debris in your aquarium. On the other hand, if you want more biological filter, if you're running an aquarium that's going to have a lot of fish load, you can fill some of these chambers with even more biological filtration media, and you can run your aquarium sump that way. So for the purpose of this video, I have a little bit of biological media here, but as I get the aquarium set up, I'm probably going to be adding some filter floss early on in the chambers of my sump. So that'll be the first chamber here on the left. And I would like to set up a mini aquarium for shrimp and plants in the larger chamber here. And it's actually going to run as its own little aquarium underneath my main 90-gallon aquarium. But regardless what kind of sump you are planning on running, there are a few common threads between all aquarium sumps, and that is that you're going to inevitably have a circulation pump at the end of your sump that is going to complete the loop and pump water back into your main display aquarium. One very important aspect of running a sump is that you have a ball valve on that recirculating pump, and the reason for this is as we're dialing in our sump, you want to make sure that your recirculating pump is not stronger than what your overflow pipe can actually accommodate. If that's the case, then the aquarium is going to fill faster than it can drain, and eventually you are going to overflow the top aquarium. So we're going to go through all of these steps on how to properly dial in that ball valve so that you're maximizing the amount of circulation in your aquarium, but you're not running the risk of overflowing your top aquarium. All right, so step one is to fill your aquarium. I usually start with filling the top aquarium because it gives you a great opportunity to test the seals of your overflow pipe and monitor them to see if anything leaks down into the bottom sump. So I've got my water changer here, so we'll turn it on and start filling up the top aquarium. Another thing I should mention is that where the aquarium is drilled, I have bulkheads and I have glued the overflow pipes using PVC cement as well as a bead of silicone just to ensure that there's no leaks at those connection points. All right, so now that we have the top aquarium and the bottom sump both filled to their max capacity, we can remove the water changer and we don't have to worry about adding or removing any water from this system going forward. So we can move on to the next step, which is to turn on the circulation pump, and we're going to adjust the ball valve to get the perfect amount of circulation so that we're getting a lot of turnover in this system, but the circulation pump is throttled down enough that it's not filling up the aquarium faster than our overflow pipe can handle. So for the next step, I like to start off with the ball valve fully open. So this is going to be the maximum amount of water that my circulation pump can handle. And I know from experience, this is going to be more than what our overflow pipe can actually handle. So I'll show you exactly what that looks like so you know what to look out for. So now the circulation pump is turned on and the ball valve is fully open. So we can see the water level is starting to decrease in this sump and the water level at the top aquarium is starting to rise. All right, so I just shut off the pump, and what you saw there with the ball valve fully open was that the water level was rising faster than this overflow pipe could handle. So obviously having the ball valve set to fully open is not going to work for this size overflow pipe. So all I have to do now is throttle back the ball valve and close it off just a little bit, and then I will turn the pump back on and let it run and see if we have the same issue with the water level rising, or ideally we find the sweet spot where we can close off the ball valve and the water pump fills at the same rate that this overflow pipe can handle. All right, so after adjusting the ball valve, I've had the circulation pump running for around half an hour now, and it's very clear that the water level in the top aquarium is not changing. So that means that we have reached a sort of equilibrium where the circulation pump is filling at the same rate that the overflow pipe is draining the aquarium. So this is perfect. And by doing it this way, where we have the ball valve fully open and we slowly throttle it back, we have now found the sweet spot where we have the maximum amount of water circulation that this overflow pipe can handle, which is going to be really great when we have this aquarium set up, because the more circulation we have from the top aquarium down into the sump, the more debris is going to be kicked up and collected down in the sump, and the better filtration we're going to have for our aquarium. And so from this point on, we aren't going to mess around with the ball valve. We have it perfectly dialed in, and there's no need to change the ball valve going forward. One more thing you can see is because we filled up the sump before we turn on the circulation pump, now that the pump has been running, the water level in the bottom sump has dropped a good 3 inches or so, and that accounts for the water that has to rise before it starts overflowing and reaching that equilibrium point in the top aquarium. Now there's one more really important step we have to do now that we have found the sweet spot on our ball valve, and that is to take a piece of electrical tape or Sharpie and mark out the water level that we have here in the sump. And what this is going to mark out for us is the absolute maximum amount of water that we should be putting in our bottom sump when the circulation pump is running. Now as we run this aquarium, we're going to have some evaporative loss, and we're going to see the water level drop even further in this sump. But what this mark is going to show us is that when we're topping up this aquarium, we don't want to fill it any further from this point here. And the reason for that is because in the event that we have a power outage, the water level is going to drop slightly in this top aquarium, and it's going to fill back up to where we had it before we turn on the pump. So filling any more water beyond this point now is going to cause your bottom sump to overflow slightly. Alright, so now that we have everything dialed in and the circulation in the aquarium is looking really good, our next step is to simulate a power outage by simply unplugging the pump and making sure that as the water drains from the top aquarium, we're not going to have any overflows in our sump. So as you can see, the water level in the top aquarium is starting to drop, which is what we would expect. But we want to make sure that as the water rises in our sump, we're not going to have any weird overflows happening. Alright, so one more really important thing that I should mention is that doing this whole calibration and marking the water level in your sump should also be done after you're done aquascaping this aquarium, because as we know, when we add hardscape and gravel to our aquarium, that's going to displace the volume that this entire system can hold. So it's important to go through these steps and mark out the water level after the aquarium is done being aquascaped, so that you have the perfect amount of water in the system. Alright, and there you have it. Those are the very simple steps to setting up an aquarium sump. If you follow all of these steps, you shouldn't have any issues with overflows, and you will know that everything has been perfectly dialed in to maximize the amount of circulation in your aquarium. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you very much for watching, and until next time, take care.